You know that friend who always turns down plans? The one who says, maybe next time, and then spends the evening at home with a blanket, a movie, and complete silence. Most people assume something is wrong with them. They think those people are shy, antisocial, maybe even a little boring. But psychology suggests something very different. Because the people who genuinely love staying at home often share a set of psychological traits that most of society completely misunderstands. And once you understand what's really happening inside their minds, you start to see that staying home isn't withdrawal from life. For many people, it's actually where their real life begins. Let's start with a simple scene. It's Friday night. Your phone lights up with a message. Hey, we're all going out tonight. You coming? For some people, that message sends a rush of excitement. Their brain lights up with anticipation, the noise, the energy, the crowd. It feels alive. But for another group of people, that same message creates a completely different reaction. Not fear, not anxiety, just exhaustion. Because social interaction, even when it's fun, drains their mental battery. Psychologists have known for decades that people vary dramatically in what they call stimulation tolerance. Some nervous systems thrive on constant input, noise, movement, conversation, novelty. Others function best in low-stimulation environments. And for those people, home is not a prison. It's the only place where their mind can finally breathe. Out in the world, their brain is processing everything. The noise of conversations, the subtle shifts in tone when someone speaks, the background music, the body language in the room, the constant stream of small decisions, what to say, how to respond, when to laugh, when to stay quiet. To someone who loves staying home, social environments can feel like running 10 mental programs at the same time. But at home, most of that disappears. The lighting is controlled, the sounds are familiar, the expectations drop to zero. And suddenly, their brain can switch from performing to simply existing. But there's another layer to this that most people never talk about. People who enjoy staying home often have incredibly rich inner worlds. When extroverted personalities feel bored, they instinctively look for external stimulation, a crowd, a conversation, an event. But people who prefer staying home don't rely on the outside world for constant entertainment. Their mind is already busy. They're thinking, reflecting, replaying conversations, exploring ideas, imagining possibilities. This is one reason many creative thinkers throughout history spent enormous amounts of time alone. Because creativity rarely happens in crowded environments. It happens in quiet rooms, late at night, when the brain has space to wander. And when someone spends a lot of time at home, something interesting happens. Their relationship with themselves becomes stronger. Most people spend their lives avoiding silence. They fill every empty moment with noise, music, notifications, conversations, distractions. But people who genuinely enjoy staying home become comfortable with something most people fear: their own thoughts. And that creates a kind of psychological depth that's hard to develop any other way. You see this in the way they observe the world. They notice patterns in human behavior. They replay interactions and try to understand what someone really meant. They analyze their own emotions instead of running from them. And over time, this kind of introspection builds something powerful: self-awareness. But there's also a practical reason many people prefer staying home: control. Out in the world, everything is unpredictable. Plans change, people cancel, strangers interrupt conversations. Noise appears where you didn't expect it. Your environment is constantly shifting. But home is different. At home, the rules are yours. You choose the lighting, you choose the sounds, you choose the schedule. For people with highly sensitive nervous systems, that sense of control isn't just comforting. It's essential, because predictability reduces mental fatigue. And this is where society often gets it wrong. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, being constantly out, constantly social, constantly doing something. But psychological research consistently shows that rest and solitude play a critical role in mental processing. In fact, many people who spend time alone aren't doing nothing at all. Their brain is consolidating memories, sorting through emotions, connecting ideas in the background. What looks like inactivity from the outside is often deep cognitive work happening internally. But of course, not every person who stays home is doing it for healthy reasons, and this distinction matters. There's a huge difference between solitude and avoidance. Solitude is chosen. It feels peaceful, restorative. You finish your time alone feeling clearer than before. Avoidance feels different. It's heavy. You stay home not because you want to recharge, but because leaving feels overwhelming. Healthy solitude expands your world. Avoidance almost shrinks it. The key difference is choice. People who genuinely love staying home are perfectly capable of going out. They simply don't feel the need to do it constantly, because they've discovered something many people take decades to learn. You don't need constant stimulation to feel fulfilled. Sometimes the most meaningful experiences happen in quiet spaces. A long thought that leads to a life decision. A book that changes how you see the world. A late-night moment of reflection that suddenly makes everything clear. None of those moments happen in crowded rooms. They happen in stillness. And the people who love staying home have something else that often surprises people. When they do spend time with others, their relationships tend to be deeper. Because they're not chasing quantity, they're chasing quality. They would rather have one meaningful conversation than 10 shallow ones. One close friend instead of a massive social circle. One quiet evening where someone truly understands them. And that mindset changes how they move through life. Instead of filling every moment with activity, they create space. Instead of chasing attention, they value authenticity. Instead of fearing silence, they listen to it. So the next time someone says they'd rather stay home than go out, remember this. They're not necessarily missing out on life. They might simply be experiencing it in a quieter way, a deeper way, a way that doesn't require an audience. Because sometimes the most interesting lives don't happen in crowded places. They happen in quiet rooms, where a person finally has enough silence to hear their own mind.